You know what we call those here in Florida? Milkshakes. Right.
Yeah.
Don't know
Not a milkshake.
Oh, man. Hey, so since we're taking questions today, we have 0 viewers.
Oh, yeah. We'll wait. We'll get some.
Hey. I'm going to see Journey tonight.
I'm actually jealous. Jealous.
With a side of Toto.
Do you think they'll play Don't Stop Believing?
No.
No, not a chance, huh?
How about Separate Ways?
Or Wheel in the Sky?
Bless you. Faithfully. Or Faithfully?
Oh, there you go.
Or Open Arms?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be good, man.
Yeah, should be.
How long is it? A couple hours?
I'm assuming. Yeah. When you're at my level, we don't pay to go to those things anymore. We get tickets.
You get invited. Yeah. Like we need you there.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe. That's good.
And it's like, hey, I got a couple hours. I figure little journey.
Why not?
Take me back to homecoming. You know what I mean? Do you think Di's gonna be bothered if I bring a picture of my middle school crush with me and just wonder how she's doing today? I remember my first dance.
Do you? Were you like back like this?
No.
No arms. Dude, our high school dance prom, junior prom, they played Groovy Kind of Love. And then the next year, to figure out these brainiacs, they picked a song and nobody had the song to play. I mean, it was different then than it is today, right? You can't just pull it up on Spotify, right? So we had Groovy Kind of Love. The second year was her prom song as well.
Nice. Well, Phil Collins, can't go wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
I played that song for a girl in 9th grade. Thought I was really getting through. When I picked the phone back up and said, "So what'd you think?" It was just going beep, 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 beep.
She didn't like it, huh?
No, she hung up.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I had a way with the ladies.
No, I understand. What you told me is everybody that got in your car, you got to cry because of the songs you played.
Right. If any of my buddies ever broke up with their girlfriends, they always said, "Don't get in Metzger's car."
What I'm most amazed at is they actually got to listen to an entire song and not just the first 10 seconds of it.
Well, because once I got them going, I wanted to see how bad I can get them snotting and depressed. Anyway, hey, welcome to the show.
Mr. Birch, do you have any questions? Otherwise, we'll jump off.
Hey, if you're on, today we're taking questions or your biggest challenges, and we can get serious for a second. Here's the thought. Here's a question. Mr. William Pierce posted a good question in the Century group as far as who is doing down payments or
registration fees
or enrollment fees, and there was a bunch of comments. Mm-hmm. We can change those people's lives, I think. So
I think pretty much anyone in the Century group, we can change their life. I mean, no offense, but some of those posts, these guys spend way more time on Facebook than they do working on their business.
Yes, they do.
I'm just calling like I see it. Sorry.
Yes. So let's start with you guys. Does anybody have some challenges, questions, how we can help, specifics? We want to take your questions today and try to make up answers on the spot. And Tass and I have a contest to see who can make up better answers. Mr. Hamzu just started down payments because of MAIA. By the way, can I just say this to everybody that's on here? And Tass, we're not going to go into a teaching moment unless somebody has a specific question. But if you're not doing down payments, if you are doing enrollment fees, registration fees, startup fees, as opposed to a down payment, you're leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the on the table. Period. End of story. It's not a debate. We can break it down. We can prove it to you. And by the way, even if you only charge $50 a month, I wouldn't raise your rates. And even with the down payment, I wouldn't raise your rates. There's a way to do that. But anyway.
You know, it's funny, Metz. So my son, Xander, he said, Dad, can you go with me to the gym? Not to work out. He wanted me to go with it to the gym because he signed up online for a membership there, but he needed to get a parent's signature. He's 17. So I'm like, sure. So we went to the gym. I said, well, dude, let's get the tour. I said, at least so you know where everything is at. He's like, I'm fine. I got all the equipment, whatever. He knows how to use everything. So we took the tour, and I was talking to the sales guy.
All right, I'm sorry. You took the what?
The tour.
Oh, you're talking about the tour.
Oh my God. You know, you guys in Florida with Bagel and tour. You mean the tour? Did you say
in Vegas either?
Do you say tour or tournament or tournament, Danny LaRusso?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. So anyway, we took the tower, and when we got back, I was gonna give the sales guy a hard time and be like, "What's the $75 registration fee for?" And then I was gonna say, so basically, it's just a BS fee. We're gonna to get you in the admin, but I wasn't feeling like giving the guy a hard time that day. But that's what health clubs do, right? And
by the way, that's to pay him too. He probably gets paid, right? That's part of that's going to go to him,
right? Probably, yeah. There's a health club industry boy right there. You know the deal. It's
hey,
mission.
Tass, when you get a chance.
Hey, I'm not East Coast, Mr. Birch. I'm in Wisconsin, man.
You drink coffee?
Coffee. No, I drink coffee, and I don't wear khakis. I wear khakis.
That's right. That's good.
I could talk like they're up in the UP up there, which is Michigan, which is not that far from me.
Nice.
But thanks for the
people from Michigan.
So do you think people with accents can enroll more people or less people in the martial arts school?
Depends where you're at.
Okay. So do you think if you brought an Australian in or someone from England and that had an English accent, do you think
they can enroll more?
Why do you think that?
Well, because we accept that they're from another. When you're in the United States and you start calling bagels bagels, we feel like we may be in the wrong place.
Okay, I've got another question. As these guys are thinking about it, that was actually a serious question. I think there's an allure to some people with some of these accents.
100%. I believe if you're an Australian or something, or you're from England and you're here, there's something about it that I think a lot of us look at you as more someone is more dignified, right? or whatever that is. I think there's an allure to that for sure.
So what we're saying is,
by the way, I don't want people to think that this is an answer a MAIA system that we got to because I have no idea. It's not like I've done studies on this.
We've not tested it.
That's right. We have not tested that out. I'm just guessing. Hey, listen, as we're still bantering, everybody that's watching, 37 people watching, nobody wants to put up what's a big challenge that they're having right now in their school or a scenario that we can help with. We're going to call it an early day. I'm going to start tailgating out at the Journey concert.
Do you guys actually do that in Florida?
Yeah.
Do they tailgate it like Tampa Bay games?
I got tailgaters sitting right in front of me. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So anyway, here's the thing. Summer's coming. This is where people are going to start getting freezes on memberships. Can anyone chime in? I mean, since nobody wants to ask questions, can anybody tell us, do you guys get people that want to freeze during the summer months? Freeze their membership? And look at this. Getting up to $185 student value. Is that a challenge or is that what you're doing, Miss O'Neill?
Yeah, Mr. Hanzu just got through his schedule. It was a work in progress, but we got it, and now he's locked and loaded and ready to really launch, which is going to be amazing.
All right, so look, we got a few people here. Okay, challenge. And then we got a lot of people. Well, we don't have a lot of people. We have two that say yes. Okay, Miss Hamlin. All right. So that, yes, we have people that want to freeze in the summer. Here's a simple fix. Every time you do an enrollment, these are just simple fixes that you can implement immediately. When you enroll somebody, if you are a month-to-month school, if you're doing month-to-month, you should have a down payment still on a program. Now, if you want to do an enrollment fee or registration fee, fine. But here's why. Well, if you do a month-to-month, you can't do this system when people want to freeze for the summer. Even if you do a 3-month term, a 6-month term, a 9-month term, a 12-month term, when anyone enrolls in your school, tell them and say, hey, by the way, one of the great things about us is, we know a lot of families travel in the summer. They're gone for a month or 6 weeks. And with us, even though you still make your payment, you never lose your time. So that time will be added on to the end of your program. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, there's details to that, but that's the concept. Do that, and that's going to eliminate a lot of that. And then have them initial that they understand that. So when they come and they say, hey, we're going to be gone for the month of June, for example, we want to freeze our payment. Say, oh, remember, we don't freeze the payments, but you're not going to lose that time. You're going to get that time back at the end of your program. If for some reason they say, you never told me that, that's when you pull out the file and say, we did go over it. You signed here, you initialed. I made it clear, because one of the things we pride ourselves on is to always be upfront with our customers. But again, you're not going to lose that time. Now, the only people that are going to get upset about this are the people that are really just trying to find an excuse to quit, that don't plan on coming back, which the majority of your students at that time, now listen to this statement, everybody, this is important. The majority of your students that say we're going to be gone for 4 weeks or whatever, traveling, we want to freeze our payment. Most of them still have the intent of coming back after that travel. The problem is when they are out of this for 4 weeks and out of the routine and habit, there's a lot of them that do not come back. And that's why it is better to freeze time, not payments.
And there's two sides to this. I think, sometimes the argument to this is, as well, we look at it from the customer standpoint, right? Well, what's right for the customer? Well, I encourage you guys to look at, here's the reason why we do the extended time guarantee. Well, why do we do that? Well, if you have a school and you have 100 students in your school and you've got 20 people that want to freeze, 10, doesn't matter, 10, 20 people, let's just say 10 people. You're in a school and you're paying $1,500 a month for your lease, as an example. I'm just using arbitrary numbers. When you've got 10 people that want to freeze over summer, you're going to lose $1,500 a month if they're paying $150 a month in revenue. And that, by the way, you guys know, for a lot of you, the times that you struggle most, unless you're following our system, and July is our second biggest month, right? Best month. But one of the biggest times that people struggle is in the summertime, especially financially. So to add freezes on top of that and strap your cash flow is the challenge. Well, what's the right thing to do for the customer? Well, the right thing is to freeze their program, because they're not going to be here. I agree with you. We freeze their time, not their money. So we're doing both. We get to win as the company and as the business, and they get to win because they're never going to lose that time. That's it can be a big cash flow problem for people if you allow people to freeze their money as opposed to their time.
Another good pre-frame for all of you, if you want to go to a term like 3, 6 months, 12 months, whatever, compare yourself to the health club industry, because it's the health club industry that gave contracts a bad name. Okay, that's what started the whole negativity on contracts, right? But you can say, unlike a health club, so you said your son Xander just went to a health club. Well, how much is he paying a month? He paid a $75 registration fee. What's his monthly fee at the health club?
$15.
Okay, so he's paying $15 a month. If he doesn't show up for the next 2 months, he's lost that $15, that $30, that $15 a month. He's lost it.
Right.
It's gone. You're not getting that back. Whenever he wants to cancel, he'll just cancel, and those payments will stop. So you could say, unlike a health club, you never lose your time with us. So if you're making a payment and you're not here for a month, you're going to get that time back. You're not going to lose that with us. And when you do it that way, people say, Oh, that's great. That negative, that potential negative now becomes a positive. So it's all about presentation.
It is.
Now,
and to that point, Metz, it's how you handle it. I mean, I remember when people used to come in and I didn't understand or didn't have extended time guarantee. And people come in like, well, my kid's gonna be doing Pop Warner football. We're gonna be gone for a month or summer. And I'm like, oh boy, here it comes. They're gonna ask me to freeze their payment. And I didn't know how to respond to that. And so I would be like, well, when are you guys gonna be gone? Well, when are you guys gonna come back? Well, we can't, we're not going to stop your payment, but why don't you just hit some classes before? It was so frustrating to me because I didn't know how to handle the situation because I didn't have a good tool like the extended time guarantee. Now, when somebody comes and says, hey, look, my son, he's in Pop Warner football. Their practices are Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7. He just can't make classes. Great. That's all. Is he excited? That's awesome. Are you guys excited? Fantastic. I'm excited for you guys. I really think you guys should cross-train anyways. I think it'll be a great experience for them. I'm aligning with them now, and then I come back and I say, look, no problem. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and execute your extended time guarantee. And just as a reminder, you'll still pay for that time, but we'll add that time to the end of your program. All right? Hey, I hope he has a great time and look forward to seeing you guys when you guys come back. It's how you present it as opposed to like, oh, well, yeah, we got this extended time guarantee. Is that going to work okay for you? And if you don't say it with confidence, you're going to get the people to come back and say, well, no, that doesn't make sense. And I don't understand why we're doing that. You got to be able to present it with confidence. That goes back to presentation.
And Mr. McGraw, to answer your question, because people pay for a month at a time, right? If anybody has gone for less than that, we have them make up the classes. So they can double up or triple up classes. If we needed to do a private lesson in there, for them, we will. But it's a month or longer before you get the time extended guarantee on that.
Right on. And by the way, Mr. McGraw, make sure, Metzger said it, but clarify that on your new student checklist. Extended time guarantee is if you're going to be gone for a month or longer. Don't get caught up. Some people hear this like, oh, they extend their classes. Okay, they missed, let me see, 1, 2, 3 classes this month. So we're going to add 3 classes. It's not how we do it, guys. Come, like he said, come into 2 or 3 classes the week before vacation, come into 2 or 3 after to make up the time, and that's it. But we have a month of time or longer. That's what we do. It's on the actual new student checklist.
And Mr. Hoff, I am in the process of converting members to a program. Do you have any suggestion for people that want to wait to sign up until after they take vacation? Yes, it's a call to action. All of your existing members, listen, depending on what, there's so much to this because I'd have to get more details, but there is a way to lock in. So depending on what you're charging, sometimes we're raising our rates by $10 or $20 if we're going to go to a term or whatever. First of all, everybody, listen, we will not force your existing customers. If people came into you and enrolled in your school, and you promise them we are a month to month, no one will ever have to go to a term or a contract or an agreement or whatever. That's fine. That's no problem. But if you are month to month, right? By the way, let me pause for a second. Has anyone noticed costs of goods going up lately? Has anybody noticed that, right? Of course we have. As a matter of fact, here in Orlando, ladies, I don't know if you guys know, but I think I told you, OUC, the power company, just raised their rates 10%. 10% on the power bill, right on your power, on your electricity, right? So if you are month to month, what we would do with our existing customers is we would say, hey, I don't know if you know, but we have to raise rates $10. However, because you've been loyal to me, we want to give all of you an opportunity to lock in the rate that you're at so you don't have to do it. And we're going to get, by the way, we're going to allow everybody to do that by May 1st. And if you want to do that, you could do that for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 18 months, your choice. The longer you want to lock, the longer you will not be bothered by any rate increases. If you do not want to do that, no problem. Just understand that as of May 1st, rates are going up $10 or whatever. That's an example of a scenario depending on what your situation is, but that's how we would create a call to action to get people to do it now. And if they respond to me and say, well, we're going to be traveling for the summer, can I do it when I get back? You can do it when you get back, but it's going to be at whatever the current rate is. However, if you do it now, you're going to walk in at your rate and you'll not lose that time that you're gone. You're going to get that time back at the end. So you're not going to lose any time. You're just going to save money. You'll have a lot of savings if you do it now. Do you want it? Now here, listen to the question. Do you want to take advantage of that savings and do it now? But again, you do not have to. You could stay month to month. You could do that. But there's increases in costs and our rates are going up $10 a month, you know? That's an example. So I hope I gave you an example of the situation that you're probably in. And if you're not in it, I would put you in that situation because whatever you're charging, Mr. Hoff, I bet you $10 is okay.
That whatever 2-minute quip is worth going back and watching because that is a game changer. And here's what I'll tell you about month to month. The reason people do month, because here potentially somebody watching may say, well, yeah, but we're doing month to month and no one's going to do a term. We've always done month to month. Okay. I guess if that's your presentation, if that's your mentality, but if you listen to what Metz just said and the how and he gave people options, which is very important, number one. And number two, you have to understand the mindset of a customer. Most people do month-to-month programs as a business because it's the path of least resistance. It's easy to enroll them. You don't have to have this enrollment process or whatever the reason is. It's just as easy for us to put people in 12-month programs as well. I mean, we went back to 6-month programs for a while and did not really see a big increase. And by the way, lower the price. Month-to-month is easy to get people signed up on. Why? Because the know, like, and trust factor. When you meet someone for 20 minutes or 30 minutes in an intro lesson, it takes a pretty skilled person to build the know, like, and trust factor. And putting someone on month to month is a very simple way because they can just cancel anytime and they feel comfortable doing that. The flip side of that is when students have been with you for a period of time, that know, like, and trust factor starts to rise. They will happily go on to a term of some sort to lock in their rate. So we just got to get out of that mindset, and it's going to help you guys so much with your business, having people on these I say quasi-term, but it's actually a term program, but it's so simple if it's done right. And by the way, there's other ways to do that exact way, but other things that you can add on to that literally will make you thousands and thousands of dollars by giving them the option, not by forcing anybody to do anything. So I thought that was unbelievable.
Hey, thanks, Tass.
As long as we're keeping you awake, Metz. I know it was kind of boring for you, but
well, you started talking a little long there.
Yeah, right on.
Hey, can I download a copy of that form on MAIA page? Just looking for the wording. Are you referring to?
Is that Mr. Weaver?
Yeah, I think so. Right? Who works with Mr. Weaver?
I think that's Mr. Weaver. Mr. Weaver. Yeah, if you're on the Edge site, if you look up I love that. I don't know if I've seen that logo.
Is that a hockey team?
New student checklist. I think that's what he's talking about, and that's where the extended time guarantee. Where we mentioned the extended time.
Is that on the MAIA Edge site?
I'll say yes, and if it's not, then contact MAIA. But I believe it is.
All right. MAIA being
MAIAEdge.com.
Okay.
MAIAEdge.com.
Let's see here. How long is too long for an extended time guarantee? There isn't. There isn't. Listen, if you sign somebody up for a 12-month program and they train for 3 months, right? And they disappear for the next year or 2 years, they still have 9 months. They've made all their payments. They get 12 months of training, however they want to use that. They get 12 months. Now, will they rank and stuff? If they wanted to come 1 month a year for the next 12 years, if they were on a 12-month term, no. Are they going to really progress? No. And we'll tell them that, but that's their choice. They get 12 months of martial arts training, no matter how you slice and dice it.
Metz, and here's the other thing that I see happen. Some people are like, well, they signed up for 12 months. They were here for 3. They've got this 9-month extended time guarantee, whatever it is, and they haven't come back. They haven't been back, and they told us you're going to be. Well, do I really need to honor that after 4 years? Well, let me ask you a question. They paid you for 12 months. They came for 3. You collected 9 months of revenue for them. Would you want the opportunity to have a student walk back through your door and potentially put them on a higher level program, pay, now I'll get controversial, pay testing fees, do all the parent night outs, all the things that you offered, right? That's kind of like us. This is something separate. But those of you that do private lesson packages, right? The breakage model in private lesson packages is crazy. I went through our cards and looked at how many private lessons we sold, how many we actually taught, and how many of those people are no longer with us. There's thousands of dollars of unused private lessons. Well, if I was a short-sighted business owner, right? If I was short-sighted, I'd say, oh, that's awesome. Let's just keep selling private lesson packages. Hope they don't use them. But that's not the mission. The mission is, why don't I use that as a way for me to call these students and touch base with them, check in, see how they're doing, talk to their parents, say, by the way, you know, if he's doing team sports and you want to compliment his training, he's got some private lessons that he still has available. I'd love for you guys to come in and utilize them. And I won't say the kid's name, but we did this a few years ago. They said, really? You guys would do that? We said, absolutely. Kid came in for 2 private lessons, re-enrolled on a Master's Club membership, gave us a check for $5,500. Because why? Because we weren't short-sighted and we did the right thing. That's how you got to think about it. Sometimes we think about, well, why should we honor it for 3 years or 5 years? Stop thinking that way. Just get the people in the door.
And I remember when you operated doing it doing the wrong thing all the time. And MAIA helped you get on the right path with having integrity, right?
That's not 100% false.
Okay,
I mean, in truth, and truth be told, I mean, there was consulting companies that I worked with where it was shady and it was weird tactics, right? And so it didn't feel good about what we were doing. So not that it was wrong, it just didn't feel good. And yes, MAIA, the biggest thing that I learned from MAIA is, like, the truth will set you free. I mean, if you're honest with your clients, if you give clients options, you can be very successful in this business. You don't have to play with cards under the table. You just don't.
We have a question from Chris Clark.
Clark, how are you? Wow.
Right. Did Tassoul just get off the bunny hill with that sweet jacket? Clark, not only did he just get off the bunny hill, he paid extra to get the jacket to match his face.
That's right. That's right.
The color.
Careful, Mr. Clark. I will go on your Facebook page and stalk you. Actually, I just got out of the woods. That was hunting. You got to wear blaze orange here in Wisconsin.
Oh, nice. Guys, keep your challenges or questions coming. What does Miss Geely say? We had someone who stopped coming when pandemic started but continued their payments. Now that they're comfortable training again, they just came back 2 years later thinking they had to pay, told them they get to train for free for X months since we owe them that time, and they were thrilled. And that's the way you should be, guys. I mean, you know, Tass, I think there's a preconceived, I mean, we don't think, we know, right? We know that people in the industry that have not come on board with MAIA, that hear us talk about how to generate and how to make a lot of money in your business, think or have a perception that it's all about the money. And like you said, there's consulting companies out there that you have worked with personally. So we're only talking about ones that you've been a member of before MAIA, that do have that philosophy, right? That do say, look, let's get as much money as we can because we know the average student doesn't last and this, that, and the other. And that's not what we do. We're going to teach you how to generate the most amount of revenue you can in your business by providing the best customer service and experience for your clients and quality. You can have both. You can have both.
Look at there's a billboard up there. Yeah, there it is.
There it is. Contact. Wow. Well, guys, you know you could pay. The Metzger Tassoul Show is $500 to post an advertisement.
This guy might be fishing. Might be a spam.
Yeah. Ernie Palesco, to find anything on MAIA Edge or for guidance, call. Hey, call now.
First 3 callers get a free student checklist.
Have coffee with him.
Oh, funny.
Between the 4 options and extended time, all the negotiating has stopped. You know, Mr. Manili, that's another preconceived notion, right, Tass? you hear people say, well, you can't get 4 options. It's too confusing. People are confused. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to. And I love your example of that with your health club analogy on why you thought, when I first presented it to you, you originally had a gut thought that 4 options, that's going to confuse the customer. But what was the analogy on that? Or what did you experience?
Yeah, so I came to the realization, I did a lot in the health club industry and sales specifically in the health club industry. And we typically had 3 options, right? And the options were, well, there was a bronze package, which, included tanning, and it was, X 30, whatever, $20 a month. Then there was tanning and towel service, which was, $25 a month. Then you had VIP service. So essentially there were different services, and because there were different services, there was different charges. So you had to decide, well, what was it that you were going to take advantage of? Fast forward to today, Xander goes to the health club. It's $15 a month. Well, for $25 a month, he can bring a friend, a guest anytime he wants to. He can use their hydro massage. He can do tanning. He's like, Dad, my friends already have memberships. I'm not doing the hydro massage. I'm not tanning. So I'm going to do $15. So when I saw the 4 options, I'm like, man, that's just too many, because I had that experience in a health club with 3 options. People couldn't make up their mind. Do they want towel serve? Do they want that? But the realization was that we're not offering 3 or 4 different products or options as far as what the services are. Here's the program, but there's simply 4 ways that you can pay for the program. And by the way, there's an option that fits in anyone's budget. And when that clicked for me, I went, okay, that makes sense, because like you said, the average person is going to think, well, they're going to have to go home and talk about what option they want to do. No, they won't. There's 4 different options they can choose from, and we have an option that fits anyone's budget. And that's it. It's as easy as that. And we've been using it, ever since. And we've absolutely crushed it. And probably I get more credit than I deserve. I've done this with clients, and they have 3 times their income in their schools. And all we did was add pricing structure. And, I look like a hero, and it's really not me. That's what the pricing structure can do for a school. So it works tremendously.
Question, Mr. McGraw. So Jill wants to quit and transfer her program to Jack.
But they both just fell down the hill.
Right. So they're injured. So Jack can't even take over yet because he's still suffering a leg injury. And Jill wants to quit because she's just frustrated and feels like she'll never walk again.
That's right.
But that's besides the point. She's moving out of state too. They got in an argument. I think one pushed the other. Never mind. What if payments all completed? What if payments are all completed? Or is Jack supposed to take over payments? What's the question? Do you know what Mr. McGraw?
Jill wants to quit and transfer a program to Jack.
What if payments are, like, if she completed all her payments and she has free time? Let me, while you clarify that, Mr. McGraw, here's the deal. First of all, every one of you should, if you sell a program as opposed to a membership, right? You should have a transfer policy. Or can you transfer your program to someone else in your immediate family? Can you transfer your program to a friend? You decide, just create a policy and stick with it, right? How many times is it transferable? Whatever, right? So if Mr. Herb, welcome. So I'm not sure, like, if you're saying Jill completed all her payments and has, let's say, 4 months left, and Mr. Hanzu,
I think you like the Jack and Jill analogy.
Right, yes, payments are completed, but time remains. Jack will step in the spot taking over payments. Well, so here's the deal. If you have a transfer policy where Jack is a brother who's staying home or whatever, a family member, whatever your transfer policy is, and Jill moves and she has 4 months left, and you allow a transfer, Jack can step in and not pay anything for 4 months. He could take over her program. However, he would still need to sign the paperwork, right? I want to make sure that they still get on the paperwork. You do an agreement, and they're just taking over Jill's 4 months, which in that 4 months, we want to convert Jack to a regular member himself, because he would have to start paying after that 4 months.
Right.
I think that's the question.
Yeah, there's some moving parts there, right? Like if they were paid in full and they transfer the program, they would pay nothing until the program was expired. And by the way, would you honor the extended time guarantee? The answer is, yeah, it's the right thing to do. You can absolutely do that. That's a call that you can make as a school owner, because they transferred it. Do you really need to give them the extended time guarantee, or can you use the original expiration? But if we're doing it the right way and they extend their time, they now have a new expiration. Jill does in this case, or whatever. So Jack would get the program until the expiration. If he's paying the payments, he's going to pay the payments till the expiration. So the extended time guarantee is really irrelevant, because it's going to go to, he's going to make the payments to get the extended time guarantee if they're making payments. And yeah, so there's some moving parts to that question. But here's the thing. What would you do, or what would you appreciate as a customer? What would you appreciate? And then do that, and then figure out, now, how can I make this a win for the business? And the answer is, you're not going to have somebody in a 4-month or 6-month or 8-month program. You're going to go to renew them or upgrade them or whatever it is, and just to send them to the next level. I've said this before. This is off topic, but on topic. I remember having someone, there's 2 different types of people that walked into my school years ago. One came in, they sold like prepaid card for services, like at an oil service place, right? And it was this huge discount. And another one came in, they sold like spa services. And I talked to them, because I wasn't interested in the spa services, the oil packages, but I was curious as to their marketing. I said, well, do you work for the company or with the company, or are you a 1099? They go, no, we're a service, and we go out to businesses and we sell these and we keep the money. Basically like a Groupon, right? We keep the money, and then people go use the services, and then it's their job as a company to get them to buy more services and so on and so forth. And I remember asking them, I said, can you do this for my martial arts school? You guys can keep all the money. Like, I didn't care about that. I just wanted bodies on the floor, because I knew once I got them in that there's other things that I can do with them. That's really what this scenario is. It's, you're getting someone, in this case, who's moving away, is never going to be a part of your school anymore, but you're getting a new body on the floor, and it's somebody that you can work with and nurture and keep in your school for a long period of time. I don't get caught up. You know that with our summer special we're doing. We don't get caught up in the dollar amounts. It's about
we don't care about how much we're going to make on a trial,
right?
You know, because that's not what keeps us in business.
Yeah,
getting full-fledged students and commitments as far as doing a good job and wanting to keep people longer in our school training is what keeps us in business. What do you guys do to build future instructors? Do you prefer homegrown or hiring from outside? The easy answer is homegrown, 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 homegrown. However, I will not, if you don't have a mechanism or a training system to be building up future instructors, which we do it 3 times a week. Every week we have a training. Every single week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there is training going on, business systems, curriculum training, on the floor training, always training every week. If you don't have that, first of all, you need that even for new hires. But let's say you didn't have that and you don't have anyone, your best future instructor is 13 or 12 years old right now, and you're just waiting for them to get to 16 to where you can hire them or whatever you're doing, and they quit before that happens, right? I will not let that stifle the growth of the company. So we are always marketing, always looking for new hires from outside, always. It doesn't mean I have to hire anybody, but I am always, every now and then you find the gem. You find somebody who would be great in your company, who's skilled, who has a good work ethic, personality, presentation, charisma. And we're always looking for those people, always. I want good people in our company. But homegrown is the easiest, because people that are homegrown understand our culture, our system, our style, you know, and it's so much easier. But if you haven't been doing that, you may not have that right now.
And listen, you know, we've talked about this, and you say that, and I think some people go, well, yeah, that makes sense. You always got to be looking for people. But I don't know that we're looking for people. And let me give you the example, right? So you and I go to a movie together, and we go to a 3D movie, and you get the 3D glasses and I don't. We're in the same theater watching the same movie, but we're seeing completely different things. And oftentimes as owners, we're in our schools and we don't have the lens on for looking for future instructors. We have the lens on for just doing the day-to-day operations. And then sometimes what happens is you lose a student, or I'm sorry, you lose an instructor or a key staff member, and miraculously you find somebody to replace them. Well, how does that happen? Well, because now you put on a different set of glasses or a different set of lenses, and that's exactly what you're looking for. So the trick is you have to have that set of lenses always, and always be looking for great people. He said it, but sometimes it just, you know, the way that it resonates with people is, yeah, well, that makes sense. We got to be looking. Yeah, I'm kind of well, are you looking today like you don't have a chief instructor on your floor and you need to get somebody? Or are you just kind of casually, yeah, we've got some stuff out there and it's, you know, if something happens, it happens. So I've seen that experience happen with us. Is like when we've needed someone, and it's not fun, by the way, but you put on those lenses and you'll find somebody. But it is better to be proactive than reactive. And that's what he's saying. Always be looking, always have, you know, your eyes out for people and see if you can get a gem.
And by the way, the other problem is that you don't know what you're looking for. A lot of times what you do is you look for somebody that's going to make your life more convenient. Meaning you're looking at your students and you're like, you know, he's been a black belt or they're advanced, they can help me. I'm going to hire them part-time to help me with classes. And so your focus is just the skill level of this student because they can demonstrate or communicate with kids on the mat or be organized with kids on the mat, and they can count to 10 and hold a target and praise. But you're missing out on all the trainings of all the other things that an assistant or somebody coming on should know that can be a big investment for your business as opposed to just a convenience for your business. And that's the other big issue that we have in our industry. What is this? So you see this one, Tass?
No, that's definitely Mr. Weaver. I just read it. So if Jack and Jill sign up and purchase all their gear, get extended time guarantee, train for 3 months on their parents' credit card, then the deadbeat parents rack up a bill and then challenge all charges from your previous month. Does MAIA have an assassination program? Asking for a friend. No, we do not have an assassination program.
Sorry.
But we do have good merchants that know that, you know, whether or not it's a legitimate challenge or not. That I will tell you. I've had that happen. Not that exact scenario with Jack and Jill and equipment, but I have had that scenario with somebody who signed up, paid in full, and was coming to class and then challenged it. And because we have a great relationship with our merchant and we could provide the attendance and the original signed agreement, everything else, they did not win that challenge. We did.
Hey, let's stir the pot real quick.
Yeah.
Testing fees or no testing fees? Put in the chat box. Testing fees or no testing fees?
Contact Ernie Bledsoe. Oh, man.
Let's see. What you got, guys? Testing fees or no testing fees? Yes. Testing fees all the way. Come on, guys.
Metz, do you remember working with me? If I was charging testing fees or not? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Well, because I was with so many different consultants, there was a time we're like, we're going to go all inclusive. And then 6 months later, we're going to start charging testing fees. And then 18 months later, we're going back to all inclusive. I literally went from charging to not charging. I think I cycled 3 times through that. And I was not charging testing fees at the time we started working together. And you're like, well, if you're working with me, you're charging testing fees. And of course, now we charge testing fees. And what really resonated with me, this goes back to, I think, a super show. Master Bill Clark was speaking, and he was talking about being nickel and dimed. And it was just a funny statement that I remember. You know, everyone thinks we nickel and dime our students. And he pulled up what they did for testing fees in their organization. He goes, those aren't nickels and dimes, kids. And it struck me out. It was like, 7 figures in testing fees that they had done for their organization. It was pretty funny. I'm like, that makes sense.
All right. So look, I charge. So do you charge for re-ranks, kids that move up in class? Suhan 75. All right. Hey, first, interesting, right? Mr. Mandal says no testing fees, which is completely okay. And Tass, what you just said, as far as my statement that if you're working with me, you're going to charge testing fees. would scare people and be like, yep, they nickel and dime or whatever. But it's interesting that everyone says yes, except Mr. Mondale. And I don't want to put him on the spot, but sir, I can assure you that you are not the only one who does not, does not charge for testing fees. So you are not alone.
But Matt, is there a reason why? I mean, is it just a cash grab?
Well, that's the thing, right? I wish there were more people because I don't want to just single out one person, right? And just try to get him to banter or back and forth. But if you want to put on there why you don't charge testing fees, you could put on there why you don't charge. But here's the reason why people don't charge. Here's one reason.
Frank the Tank.
It was a gift.
Are you feeling 7 feet tall today, Mr. Silverman?
I heard somebody whining and chirping in here. Let me come and see.
There he is. I'll turn it down. I'm sorry.
There he is.
I'll turn Tassoul down. Oh man. But here's the deal. People don't charge testing fees because of exactly what you said, Tass. I think people say you nickel and dime it, make it all inclusive, yada, yada, yada. Listen, it's this simple. Decide what your value is for the education that you're going to provide to your students, right? Whatever that is. If you think you're worth $40 a month for what you teach, charge $40. If you think you're worth $140, charge $140. But there is a value to equipment. There is a value. And when you explain this to people, I've said this a billion times, but it's the same thing as college, guys. When you go to college, there is a per credit hour cost to the class. If you want to sign up for a class, well, that class has a value to it. But then they say you need books for that class. Well, you got to go buy the books. I mean, if you sign up for a little league team, there's a cost to be part of the little league in some places, right? Or to be on the team. But then you got to go buy your own glove and your own bat and your equipment, right? Testing fees is okay to charge as long as you tell people before they enroll in your school. It's that simple. What's not good is when you tell someone, it's $100 a month. We'd love to have you. It's $100 a month. They sign up for $100 a month. And then you say, hey, by the way, it's $40. Here's a belt fee. But a belt doesn't cost $40 or $50 or $75. So the next thing is, well, justify your charge. Justify it. We charge $40 for a test for a graduation. But what does that include? There's a test every month, meaning there's a tip test every month that we're going to test our students every month on some part of their curriculum. If we got to pull them off to the side, if we do that, but every month there's a test on a portion of the curriculum. So it includes the testings each month. It includes the certificate. It includes the belt. It includes the graduation ceremony where we rent out a cafeteria or a gymnasium. We have demonstrations. We have all the staff has to be on deck, including our hourly people. And it's like a celebration. If your child or if you as a student does not pass the tests, right, you will not come to graduate. You won't graduate, and you will not have to pay that $40. We do not take your money if we didn't get you prepared or if you did not graduate. Are you okay with that, right? And then, by the way, this is great. Thank you, sir. I never want people to associate they're ever paying for a certificate or belt. Repetition is emphasized, not ranked. Focus on the repetition, ranks will come. Testing fees from brown belts and black belts are going straight to Japan. That's fine. But here's the deal. Oh, I didn't put his up.
You did. It just popped off.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. So the thing is of course not. But somebody's got to pay for the belt. Somebody's got to pay for a certificate. Somebody does if you provide certificates. And by the way, somebody's got to, not only do we pay for a certificate, we got to make the certificates, right? And we got to take them off as a one-on-one. If I have a student that we have 2,000 students, I literally just did this. We're just under 2,000 students training right now, right? we will take an individual out of 2,000 students. If they are having trouble and for the testing on one, we will assign an instructor to pull them out, work with them one-on-one to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get them ready and prepared. Doesn't always happen. There's a class requirement, there's a time requirement, and then there's a curriculum requirement before you can graduate to the next belt. But here's the deal. I did testing fees. Then like you, Tass, I think I got rid of testing fees. I didn't do them. And for about 2.5, 3 years, I did not have testing fees. And when I was a one-man show and I had no full-time salaried people, I had part-timers, hourly people that would come in at 4:30 because classes back then started at 5 o'clock for me. So my office person would come in at 4:30. They'd work till 8:30. My assistant instructors didn't come in until like 5 or 5:30 because I handled the first class, no problem. Then I needed some. So it was hourly. I paid them hourly. But every time we had a testing, I'd have to have my office manager come in at noon because I'd have to go buy certificates. Back then, I'd buy them at Office Max or Office Depot. I'd go buy certificate paper. My office person would come in and type individual names and get all the certificates ready. I'd have to make a big order for with Century on belts. I'd have to buy all these belts. And I required all of my assistant instructors that were hourly, they'd have to be in early because we're going to perform at graduation. They got to be there for the testing. And it got to the point where I did not like testings or graduations because I felt I was losing money. Every time there was a testing, payroll went up, certificates I had to buy, belts I had to buy. And I'm like, man, I said to myself, I think it'll be okay if I just charge a nominal fee, $40. Back then it was $30 way back. It's gone up $10, $40 now for a belt test, $40, but I will let people know when they come in. I'll say, Mrs. Johnson, just so you know, when you start training with us or when your child starts training us, one of the things we pride ourselves on is to be upfront with our customers. So there are extra costs you will incur. For example, every now and then we'll do what we call a parents' night out. So if you wanted to have Johnny come here on a Friday night, we're going to do some martial arts, watch a movie, get pizza. You can go out with your husband, have a good time knowing they're safe. If you want to do that, there's a fee for that. That's $35 or whatever the cost is, right? And you can do that if you'd like. If you ever need a new uniform, if your child outgrows it, you'd have to purchase a new uniform. There's a cost. Also, when your child goes to their next rank, there's a $40 fee for that, but that includes the stripe testings every month, the belt, the certificate, the graduation ceremony. And if they don't pass, you'll get that back. But if they meet the time requirement, if they meet the curriculum requirement, and if they pass all their phases, then it's a $40 fee. Are you okay with that? We have 2,000 students training. We don't have a problem. When they say, of course, yeah, that's fine. Just initial here saying we went over the extra cost that you may incur, that you will incur during training. Boom, that's it. Now, like Tass said, this is a real number. Tass, how much money do we do on an annual basis? Well, now, I haven't done it now for a while, but years ago, how much money, do you remember how much revenue we brought in 1 year on just testing fees?
I don't remember that number, actually.
It was $240-some thousand.
Yeah, it's a lot of
200 because our black belt test is more, but 240,000 and change on testing fees. But imagine if I stayed where we didn't do that. That's a lot of dough that we would be missing out on. And it's okay because if a customer came to me and said, well, I don't want to sign up here then. We understand. No problem. But that's why I wanted to go over it with you first. But that's never happened. Nobody's come into our school, done an intro, sat down, was ready to enroll. And because we told them about extra costs, they said, okay, well, then I'm not going to sign up. It's not happened. It's not happened yet. So just make sure you understand presentation, and you can charge anything you want. You can do anything you want, right? Just be upfront. You can charge $1,000 a test. Just tell people up front. Then let me decide if I think it's worth it or not. Right. It's when you don't tell people. Yeah. So that's my advice, guys, on testing fees, right? It's such a bad name, just like contracts. Go ahead.
Well, I think the other thing is I'm not going to call anybody out, but you got to understand why did we go to an all-inclusive model and build testing fees? Because that was what the billing companies, right, would teach is, we'll build your testing fees into your monthly tuition. That way you're not having a nickel and dime. So they took that and they flipped it and said, we'll just bill it to your tuition and charge. What are you charging? $30 for a test? How often you test? Every 3 months? Good. So just add $10 a month to your tuition. And by the way, you're going to be getting that bell testing fee, whether they test or they don't test, and you never have to have that conversation again. Well, wow, that as a client, that sounds great. But if I think about, well, what's the why, and why are they pitching it that way to me? Well, because billing companies get paid off of a percentage of the money that they collect. So it was a way for them to collect an extremely amount. I mean, think about that. If they could get everyone to raise their rates by $10 a month across the board for all of their students, and they've had, hundreds of schools and thousands of students, it's a lot of extra money for the billing company. Very, very smart play on the billing company's behalf. There's no question. But I believe that's why there's such a controversy today, is because there's this all-inclusive model that really kind of came out from the billing company's perspective. And then we have this other model over here, and people gravitate to the all-inclusive. Why? Because it's easier mentally. Because you don't have a mechanism to sit down. The reason I did and didn't do testing fees back and forth is because of exactly what Metzger said. I just wanted to enroll a student. I'm like, I'll just tell them about testing fees later. And that's when I had problems. Now that we do it this way and we explain everything up front, we've never had any challenges with it. So it's also the reason why people don't sell new student equipment packages, because you don't know how to tell them what they need. But there's an easy system and an easy way to do that if you just know the systems within the schools. And that's all the difference in the world. And you're like, oh man, I actually feel good about how we're operating, as opposed to, like I said earlier, I don't think it was necessarily doing things that were wrong, but it definitely wasn't the right thing, and it wasn't as transparent as it could have been. And this is what the MAIA systems do, is they make everything easier for you to be transparent, but also allow you to maximize the revenue in your business that you deserve, really.
And Mr. Armand, no, we do not charge every $40. We only charge when graduation is coming up, if they're going to graduate. So whether you test people every 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, 10 months, whatever, it's only at graduation. But that fee, $40, includes all of the testings that they've done over the last few months, and their certificate and their belt, and having my whole team there, and the hourly people that I got to pay, and the demos that we do, and yada, yada, yada. So no, it is not monthly. It's just whenever they test. But what's this here? How to present sparring gear. Do they all have to buy a yellow belt? Okay. It depends on what you do. There's schools that you could buy gear as soon as you enroll. There's some schools. With us, we don't have students get sparring gear until yellow belt. So we tell people that when they enroll, we say, look, once your child gets to yellow belt is when we're going to introduce sparring, right? Where and we explain it and go over the benefits and the values of whatever. And we tell them that they do not need to purchase that now. How do you tell them that? What you say is, hey, you're going to see other students out here that have sparring gear, head gear, hand gear, foot gear, and that's safety gear for when students start sparring. That is not something you need to purchase now, ma'am or sir, or whoever it is. Once your child gets to yellow belt is when you will need to purchase your sparring gear, where they will start learning how to work with another individual and start working on the techniques in a sparring situation. You explain that. And what do? All yellow belts, when we have a list of yellow belts, we'll get, this is something that we've done at our schools. We'll get a sparring bag. We'll know their shoe size. We'll have gear in the bag with their name tag on there. And if they buy the bundle, it's discounted, and we'll have it on a table. And we'll say, look, all yellow belts will need gear. By the way, there's a gear bag. And if you want to buy a bundle, you're saving this, but you do not have to. You just really need to have your gear. Well, everybody buys the bag, the sparring gear bag, and the gear that's already in there with their name on it. And that's retail dollars. However, they need it. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. They need sparring gear. It's like it's like joining baseball and telling your coach, look, I want to be on the team, but I don't want to buy a glove and I don't want to buy a bat. I just want to be on the team. That's unheard of. Well, that's unheard of in our school. You don't get to be here without the proper equipment. It's when you sell your students equipment that you never use. that's nickel and diming, you know. And there was a time where I was taught years and years, and like 25 years ago, I had heard somebody say, hey, sell them this target or this paddle and say, you know, you have to purchase this because we want you practicing at home. And we would be selling a paddle for them, and we'd never see the paddle again. It wasn't necessary in class because we had paddles and this. So now anything we sell, they must have for class, for training. So there's a lot of little details. Look, at the end of the day, I'll say this, right? And just being real serious for a second, I thought about this, Tass, with, you know, the some of the people that are thinking about being on CMA, right? And the nerves and this, that, and the other. Look, at the end of the day, here's the deal. The MAIA team, we are very, very good at what we do. We're very good at running our own schools. We are very, very good at consulting other schools. And we're very good at maximizing somebody's opportunity in their business with their martial arts, what I believe is the right way, without jeopardizing quality. We're just very, very good at this. We just are. And if you're interested and serious about growing your business and not struggling financially anymore, without jeopardizing the quality of what you do, don't sign up with us, but at least talk to us on a one-on-one basis to see for yourself and ask us how. It is fair for you to say, well, everybody tells me they can help me. Everybody tells me. Well, did everybody tell you exactly how they're going to help you? Because we will. Before we even ask you to sign up for anything, we will tell you exactly how. We can put it on paper so you can visualize and see, wow, yeah, I could see how that's really going to work. I mean, we're just good at this. And, you know, somebody else put a post out there, Tass. Did you see the post? I believe all consultants, don't list any consultants that aren't making their money doing what they're consulting you to do. Something like that. Like, make sure that they're making their money from basically a school owner, being in the trenches and being a school owner, as opposed to making money as a consultant, right?
Right.
And somebody the other day was just telling me how they loved how transparent we were. I can't remember who that was. It was this week though, because we share our numbers. I mean, we're in the trenches. We have all the same challenges that you have, and we have a lot of experience, and we've worked with, at this point, you know, thousands of schools indirectly as far as speaking, but hundreds and hundreds of schools on a one-on-one basis. Right. And we just, I mean, there's nothing that you're experiencing in your business that we haven't come across. There's just not being in a small town, not having a pandemic shut you down, not having a turd fly out of a pant leg. Everything that you've experienced, we've experienced, and we just know the answers and the systems to get you to that next level. So I mean, I'd love to help, you know, I'd love to help. I mean, I say that.
And Metz, I think you said it, but listen, it's experience, right? It's not like, oh, well, you know, these guys just have it figured out, or no, it's not that. It's experience over time. It's experience with working literally with hundreds of clients. And it's to the point, and I've said this to Metz before, and I'll just say it now, like, it's to the point when I take a 20-minute consult call, the person can start talking and I can finish every sentence that they're going to, now I don't do that, right? But I can finish every sentence they're going to tell me. Why? Because I've either lived it and done it, or B, I've heard it hundreds of times before. And we can dial in, and in literally a 15 to 20-minute conversation, I mean, well, within 5 minutes, I can tell you where you're at in your school and where we can go within 5 minutes. And how you go, well, how can you do that? You're not even at my school. Because there's universal numbers and there's universal things that we do in this industry that just tell the story. I mean, math is going to tell the story. Whether you like the math or you don't like the math, it's going to tell the story of where you're at and of the glaring things that need to be fixed. And for people that, you know, anybody, all of us, we have different things that may be. For some of us, it may be we don't have as good of a retention rate as we think we do, because we all think we have a great retention rate. Maybe it's we're not generating the student value, which is, you know, a number that we factor in, like what is our gross revenue? What is our active count? We divide those two numbers, and that is a student value. That's a universal number. We can figure out ways what's going to work best to lever you up the fastest. And this is why we've continued to do the one-on-one consulting, because everybody has a different need within the main categories of what they need. But if we're just focused on general stuff, sure, we're going to help people grow, but it's not going to help you grow the fastest, which is why we dive in and really roll up our sleeves and figure out what specifically does your business need right now, and what is the biggest lever that we can pull to give you the biggest impact as fast as possible. And that becomes a win for everybody, because when you start seeing the success, you start generating more revenue, you're going to look at them like, oh my gosh, we did this in the last 30 to 60 days. Imagine what we can do in the future together. And that's the benefit of doing the one-on-one coaching and just speaking with hundreds of schools, because we've seen it all. And I just want to make sure you guys understand, it's not because we're sitting here and trying to be, on this ego trip. It's just because it's experience, and we learn just as much from our clients as they learn from us. And it's so much fun. This is the passion for me. I just love watching people, when people's bank accounts change. I know it's not all about that, but when we're talking martial art business, one of the biggest things that people ask for is the business help, not floor systems or teaching. We assume you're all good teachers, right? But the business help. And how do you measure that? It's measured, unfortunately, by dollars in your bank account. But when we grow those dollars in your bank account, it's amazing what happens and how it can change the lives of people that we work with. And that's why we're just so passionate about what we do.
And one way to turn people off is take somebody like Mr. Crawfish and address him as Mr. Crawfish.
Nice job, Blesco.
There's someone we're not getting, Blesco.
Oh, man.
But anyway, talk about the trenches. This is reports that I get. Where am I at? Like on my schools, right? And we talk about numbers and we say you got to do this, and people want to cut corners. This spreadsheet here has every one of our schools, right? January, February, and March. This is the first quarter. But it not only says what we grossed for the month, each school, what we grossed, what their billing check was, what their growth was from 2021. So it shows me the difference. How many inquiries they had, how many set appointments they had, how many showed appointments they had, how many students they lost or gained that month, how many new students, how many upgrades, how many renewals, what their active count is, and what their student value is. I have all that information. Here's one school. You see how many line items there are for one school before we go to the next school? We're all about the numbers. And what Cass said is, when we dive in, we hold you accountable, we hold your hand, and we make sure we zone in on the areas that are really weak, because a lot of times you're not even keeping your numbers. I bet you there's not one person on here that has that every single month.
Or knows what all those numbers mean.
Or knows what all those numbers
mean.
Exactly.
I don't mean that to sound facetious. But that's real deal. And if we've said math is the path, know your numbers to grow your numbers. And that's all cliche, but it's truth. And the best way you can get anybody's help, whether it's us or anybody else, is number one, knowing what numbers to track and what those numbers mean. And number two, being consistent with tracking your numbers, because the math is going to tell you.
Yeah, and at the Super Show, everybody, I'm gonna do a session at the Super Show in Las Vegas, where Tass is going. I
changed my mind. I'm not going to be there.
Great. Well, now tickets are selling out. But one of the things that I'm going to talk about, right, and people can't wrap their heads around this because I see the comments, is how your billing check, your tuition payment, should never be more than 50% of your gross revenue. Well, just to show you that we practice what we preach, this is the first quarter for our schools, right? And if you look at this, okay, it says total gross $1,096,795 or something.
Yep, and $492,212 for tuition, which is
and the tuition is $492,000. So you could see the billing. The billing is not more than 50% of our gross revenue. And if you want to go back 10 years ago, our billing was never more than 50% of our gross revenue. But at the end of the day, we have almost $500,000 in billing. It's not like we sacrifice our billing, right? And that's 7 locations. So to be fair, that's 7 locations. So you could do the math on that, right? As far as average billing and gross dollars. But if you're billing, if your tuition payments are represents more than 50% of your overall gross, this sounds, I don't know what this sounds. I'm just trying to drive home a point. Then you don't know what you don't know. Then you are not maximizing your business. You're just not. Now, if I only owned one school and I showed you that, you might think, that's an anomaly. Or if I only showed you 1 month and we were doing that, you'd say, oh, well, that could be an anomaly. It's 7 schools year after year after year, month after month after month after month. It does not change. And that's what we gotta change the industry. We got to get this industry to understand that there is a right way and a better way to run a business in the martial arts. It doesn't mean your product or service has to change. Just the way you do business has to change.
Right.
And you do it with integrity and you do it the right way. So, man, I thought this was going to be like a 20-minute Metzger Tassoul show, and it's like, holy smokes.
I know, you got long-winded, man.
I did. Yeah. Sorry.
No, and listen, I was talking to a client earlier today, and we were talking about, staff and staffing. I know that came up on here. And sometimes we get wrapped up in the staff thing, and I'm still working on this, right? But culture. And culture is so important. So you get the real Metz and I when we're on the show. I mean, you see our attempt at humor, us laughing. It's just how it is. It's how it is in the office. It's got to be fun. And so if I can tell you guys anything, you got to take your business serious, but don't take it too serious where you're not having fun. But I will tell you, when you make more money, it is a lot more fun for everybody because everybody wins at that game. So keep that in mind. People, people don't just stay for their paycheck. They stay because they love what they do and they love the people that they're around. And this is why it's so important. That's why I keep Metzger around, because he's, sometimes he's fun to be around.
Hey, Tass, thanks. What about the other times?
Yeah, just because I need your advice.
All right. All right, guys. Well, Tass, I'm sure you have calls to do.
Yes, I do.
All right. Well, guys, good luck. Have fun. Enjoy what you do. Love what you do. Be the best at what you do. If we can help, call Ernie Palesco, and he will get you in touch with one of us, or we will help you or private message us. But good luck with everything, guys. We'll see you next week.